What is up, everybody? You're back with another episode of the Chronically Motivated Project. Today is Thursday, so that means it's Donuts and Diabetes Day. We're still in Diabetes Awareness Month, and today I'm talking about a subject that I absolutely love talking to other diabetics about, especially newer diabetics or people who are just consumed with fear. Today we're talking about complications and why you shouldn't be afraid of them. A lot of people probably saw the title of this video or just heard what I said, and they're kind of taken back. They don't really understand why you shouldn't be afraid of complications. They're terrifying, and they are. Everything from heart disease and heart failure to amputations to kidney failure to retinopathy, neuropathy. The list goes on and on and on. And I believe diabetes is still the 7th leading cause of death in the United States and is a major leading cause of death around the world. So how could you not be afraid of complications from diabetes? Well, we're going to talk about a few things today: mindset, mental focus, and how to think more effectively, and also the actual risks involved with diabetes. So we're just going to get into it. Now, why do we fear complications? What is it about it? Mostly it's because we don't feel we have control over diabetes. We don't feel we have control over the long-term complications of diabetes. So I'm going to ask a question to you right now, listening to this podcast. Do you feel safe driving? For the most part. Most people do. Yet it kills 40,000 Americans every year. We feel safe because you're behind the wheel. You feel safe because you feel like you have control. Yet it kills thousands and thousands of people. Why is that? Well, it's almost a false sense of control. And it makes people not worry about things. They don't wear their seatbelts. They don't use their turn signals. They do a lot of stuff that probably isn't good. But it's because they have this sense of control. And a lot of people don't feel that they have a sense of control with diabetes. They feel like they're in a car with no steering wheel. And that can be terrifying. So of course fear of complications would come from then. But let's bring some facts. About 50% of complications come from blood sugar management. That means 50% of complications don't come from blood sugar management. They come from genetic predisposition. They come from lifestyle factors like working out and nutrition and choosing not to smoke and choosing not to do the things that are unhealthy. Lifestyle factors, genetic predisposition. These are major factors in determining complications. And it's also why some people with 5.1 A1Cs still develop complications when some people with 10.1 complications don't. There are other factors in diabetes management and complications from diabetes that arise from other things aside from blood sugar management. Now, knowing that lifestyle factors and blood sugar management are a huge component of the possibility, and not definitely, the possibility of developing complications. Knowing those two factors are major, and knowing those two factors are in our control for the most part, it would make sense to focus on those things, to focus on controlling our blood sugars and to focus on controlling our lifestyles and living a healthy lifestyle to manage the best possible way to attempt to live a quality of life and reduce complication risk. But we don't think like that sometimes. Sometimes we think of the long picture. Oh my God, I had a bad blood sugar, so this is going to be the straw that broke the camel's back. It's going to give me complications later in life. I'm not going to do it. I'm freaking out. Charlie Brown, that old cartoon, if some of you remember, said, "I only dread one day at a time." And if people thought more like that little cartoon, that was probably the most profound message in that entire cartoon. I only dread one day at a time. Imagine if people only focused on the day at hand. That fear and that lack of quality of life would dissipate because they're only focused on what they're controlling. They're only focused on what they're dealing with at the moment. But the sense of uncertainty kills people mentally. It makes them so stressed. They're so uncertain. We as humans, we just want to know. We want to know, am I going to get complications? Am I not? Is what I'm doing good? Is it good enough? But Mary over here has this. Maybe she'll be better. You're just uncertain. And you feel like the stress and the fear comes from uncertainty. The funny thing about that is life is uncertain, isn't it? You don't know what's going to happen in 10 minutes or 10 weeks or 10 years. You can make an educated guess, but you truly do not know. But you don't usually freak out about life all the time. You freak out about diabetes and complications because of the uncertainty. So understand, you should take it day by day. As I say all the time, this isn't even a day-by-day condition. It's a minute-by-minute condition. So how can you afford to invest your fear into things that haven't happened when I know you are busy with dealing with things that are going on right now, whether it's in your diabetes management or in your life, personal or professional? It doesn't make sense to be afraid of something that hasn't happened. It doesn't make sense. And on top of that, the fear itself is so much worse than the possible complication that we can deal with with our medical advances in prevention and lifestyle and blood sugar management and all these things. You're creating this situation that hasn't happened, and it's causing fear in real time from a situation that doesn't exist. It could exist, possibly. A lot of things could happen, possibly. You could get hit by a bus, The hazards of risk misperception is what I'll call it. The hazards of risk misperception may be more significant than any individual risk itself because of the stress and the factors that come up because of all this stress. There was a lot of studies, specifically it's called psychoneuroimmunological studies, sounds super fancy, that showed that stress weakens your immune system, increases cardiovascular damage, causes more gastrointestinal problems like ulcers, impaired memory, even damage to parts of the brain like the hippocampus. Damage from stress. That damage can be a lot more harmful than the slight development of diabetic retinopathy that can be dealt with laser treatment and all these other medical advances. We live in a great time. We live in a great time to potentially get complications. Thank God you weren't getting complications in 1980, And half the time the complications aren't even there. You were just afraid of them. So that stress is causing extra stress on your heart and your body and your mind. That's what's going to get you. You're going to have a complication from non-effective thinking, not from diabetes. You're ruining your ability to control the now with the fear of something that just doesn't exist yet or at all. We have to focus on what we can control. The second you start focusing on things you can't control, you're decreasing the quality of your life. If you are going to get complications regardless of lifestyle, this is going to be a hard-hitting fact, so prepare yourself, brace yourself. I'm going to use myself as an example just to take some of the stress off some of you guys listening. If I am going to get complications no matter what, like that's written in the stars, that's just what is going to happen, whatever age, no matter what my blood sugar control is or no matter what my lifestyle factor is, if that's going to happen, that is going to happen. I can't control that. I can just control how I react and what I do about it. Right now, I'm focusing on what I can control. I'm controlling my blood sugars. I'm working out. I'm eating right for the most part. I'm not smoking. I'm not drinking. I'm not doing things that will make the risk worse. That's what I'm focusing on. Now, imagine if I focused on worrying. What does worrying do for you? What does stress do for you? Does it do anything effective? Does it get you any closer to a solution? Does it prevent any complication further than a lifestyle factor that I'm talking about or blood sugar management? No, it doesn't. It doesn't at all. The bad thing is social media gives rise to the over dramatization of complications. You have to realize that in the media, threats, drama, urgency, that helps spread information, and reporters and marketers and advertisers know that. So they're capitalizing on the fear in our community. They're capitalizing on these things. Complications are real, yes, but social media has given rise to this fear mongering and people just constantly being afraid of things that they could be attempting to control. And even if they can't control and they end up developing some beginning stage of some sort of complication, you can deal with it medically. We are not, actually, I'm going to correct that. We are destined to die as people, not because we're diabetic, but because we are people. Everyone will die. But we are not guaranteed to die a terrible death from complications. We aren't. And some people act like that. We have a lot more control than most people think we do. And to give that up in trade for fear is just a really dumb trade. Complications are not fake. They're very real. But the mental and physical health cost of fear and anxiety aren't worth the cost benefit. Being chronically afraid of complications isn't optimal risk management or diabetes management. It's not an optimal option. That's not a good way to prevent it. If anything, that's a good way to encourage it. To add another complication, to add stress to the mix, that's not going to keep you healthy. You're so afraid of not being healthy from diabetes that you're choosing to react in a way that's going to keep you not healthy in general. How does that make sense? It doesn't. I always refer to Greek and Stoic philosophers because I love the way they think. Epictetus said, "Men are disturbed not by things, but by the view which they take of them." And that is 100% true. People take and choose and perceive things in a harmful way, not harmful to anyone else but themselves. They choose to think about things in a way that removes control from them, that removes power and empowerment. They think about things in a way that just hurts them. And it's a choice. Regardless of whether it's an easy or a hard choice, it's a choice. And if you practice that harmful choice, you're going to get really damn good at it. There's a thin line between being worried enough about complications to take action and, be healthy, and then being overly worried to the point of complications from worry itself. I do believe that there is a base level of worry that drives people to be healthy. And that's okay. As long as that base level of worry doesn't become overactive, doesn't revolve around your life, or your life revolves around your worry of complications. If you have a high blood sugar and the first thing you think about is, now I'm definitely going to get complications, you have a very skewed, broken view of life. You have a very fearful view on diabetes. And that's not going to lead you to living a quality of life, which is the whole point of life. You have to understand that you do have a lot of control with your diabetes management, and you can do so many things to lower the risk. But you can't remove the risk. The risk is there. And if it's already there, what is your added stress or fear or anxiety or worry going to do to help it? You know as well as I do, nothing. Don't fear complications. Do what you can to prevent them in any way you can, and take it one day at a time. Diabetes is hard enough. Don't make it harder. This wraps up today's Donuts and Diabetes Day. A little bit more serious note. Complications really hurt people in the sense of mentally before they ever even occur. And I want to make sure you guys have the right mindset and the right outlook to think effectively and to manage your diabetes the best you can. Hope you guys enjoyed today's project. Hope you guys enjoyed today's podcast. And make sure you like and subscribe. I will be back on Monday. And until then, I will talk to you guys later.